Hey there! Tonight, we're stepping into a different kind of story. Not the shining legend, but the cold, heavy truth beneath the armour. You won't find dragons here, or flawless heroes. Just a life built on duty, fear, bruises, and the quiet grind of surviving in steel, through battlefields, broken sleep, and the slow fade of glory. If this kind of storytelling helps you rest, feel free to like the video and subscribe, but only if it actually brings you peace. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. It's oddly comforting to know who else is drifting off to the same slow march through history. So, dim the lights, let the fire in your imagination warm the stone walls, settle in, and let's begin with the making of a knight. You are 7 years old when the path to knighthood begins, not with a sword, but with a farewell. Your parents, proud and perhaps a touch relieved, send you off to serve in the household of a noble lord. There are no goodbyes written in ink or preserved in keepsakes. Only a pat on the shoulder, a bundle of clothing, and the weight of expectation settling on your small, still growing frame. No one asks if you are ready. In truth, readiness is irrelevant. You are a page now. The castle looms above you, stone towers stretching into a grey sky, its silhouette promising both greatness and hardship. The gate creaks open. What lies beyond is not a world of honour and glory, but one of scrubbing, serving, and surviving. Chivalry will come later, after years of fetching, carrying, and cleaning up after horses and noblemen with equally foul temperaments. Your duties are endless. From sunrise to well after dark, you run errands, sweep halls, deliver messages, and assist with meals. On especially lucky days, you're permitted to polish armour, which sounds glamorous until you realise it means scraping dried mud and horse dung from heavy iron boots. Your hands are blistered, your back aches, and the knights, they barely notice you. You are not yet one of them. You are the help. But even in these early days, training begins. Wooden swords are handed out like brooms, and bruises bloom across your arms as you spar with other boys who, like you, are eager to prove something. You're taught how to fall from a horse without breaking your neck. You fall often. Some days it feels like falling is the main lesson. No one praises you for bruising well, but they do scold you for weakness. You learn quickly. Pain is to be swallowed, not displayed. Discipline is everything. Speak only when spoken to. Bow deeper to those of higher rank. Never question a command, no matter how trivial or humiliating. Your mistakes are corrected with the back of a hand or a weak scrubbing chamber pots. One boy forgets to remove his cap in the presence of the lady of the house. He spends 2 days on his knees in the chapel, praying for humility. No one forgets again. If your family is wealthy, a tutor may be assigned to teach you reading, writing, and perhaps a bit of Latin, though the Latin mostly seems useful for understanding church services and inscriptions on tombs. If not, you learn by imitation. You listen. You memorize prayers. You copy letters with shaky hands when the steward is generous enough to share a scrap of parchment. Literacy is a luxury. Muscle and obedience matter more. Still, you learn. You learn which fork to use, though most prefer fingers. You learn to stand still for hours during court feasts, balancing platters of steaming meat while nobles talk politics and complain about the wine. You learn to stay invisible when tempers flare, and to disappear entirely when drunken knights start boasting about past battles. Every moment is an education in survival. Mornings begin with Mass. The castle chapel is cold year-round, and your breath fogs in the air as you kneel on stone floors and try not to fall asleep during the liturgy. Faith is not optional. It is as much a part of your training as swordplay. You are taught to fear hellfire, to respect the church, and to confess regularly. The priests speak of divine purpose, of holy duty. You nod along, trying to stay awake. Mostly you pray not to get sick. There are few remedies and fewer recoveries. Meals are brief affairs, usually consisting of bread, cheese and meat if you're lucky. Vegetables are suspect. Many believe raw greens cause illness, and so you develop a steady diet of salted meat and dry crusts. You eat quickly, knowing your next task waits. On rare feast days, there may be roast pig or honeyed oatcakes. These days are remembered for years, like dreams glimpsed through smoke. In the evenings, the hall grows lively. Minstrels sing ballads, recounting tales of Arthur and Roland and saints who slayed dragons. You sit on the edges, near the fire, trying to catch every word. The songs are meant to inspire, but you are too tired to be moved. You think more of your sore feet than of chivalric deeds. Still, something stirs in you. A hope, perhaps, that someday someone will sing of you. You sleep where you can, often in the servants' quarters, shoulder to shoulder with other boys, on straw pallets that smell of sweat and mildew. Some nights you are pulled from sleep to help with late arrivals or unexpected guests. You learn to rise without complaint, to work through exhaustion, to never let your eyes betray fatigue. A knight must be ready at any hour. The training starts here. You are not alone. Other pages suffer with you. You form silent friendships, built on shared glances and muttered complaints. Together you learn the rhythms of castle life. You learn which knights are cruel, and which will look the other way when you steal a second helping of stew. You learn who to trust, who to fear, and which corners of the castle offer a moment's peace. There are moments of levity, a jest from the cook, a clumsy knight tripping over a dog, a stolen apple. You cling to these moments. They remind you that life exists beyond duty, that laughter still has a place, even here. Occasionally, you catch a glimpse of the world beyond the walls. Merchants arriving with silks and spices, a troupe of performers, or a noblewoman riding past with her retinue. These sights feel foreign, like stories glimpsed through fog. You are not part of that world yet, but maybe, one day. At times, doubt creeps in. The stories of glory feel distant, the reality far more grinding. You wonder if all of this, the aching limbs, the scoldings, the hunger, is truly the path to honour. But every so often, you see a knight ride out in gleaming armour, pennant flying, and your chest tightens with the thought, someday that could be you. Your lessons in humility do not stop with bruises and hunger. There are also ceremonies to attend, even though you're barely more than background noise in them. You observe as nobles gather, dressed in fine fabrics you're not allowed to touch, much less wear. You're reminded, by their glances, and sometimes their words, that your position is somewhere between useful and invisible. When dignitaries visit, the castle becomes a theatre. You help prepare guest rooms, polish silver, and sweep the same corridors 3 times over. If anything is out of place, the pages are blamed. And if something goes wrong, say, a dog bites a visiting bishop's leg, well, Let's just say it helps to know how to avoid being seen. You quickly master the art of looking busy while being nowhere near the problem. On festival days, there is music, dancing, and too much wine, at least for the adults. You're allowed to watch from the corners, soaking in the sounds and sights while pretending not to be watching too intently. Occasionally, someone slips you a sweetmeat or a bit of cake, and for a moment the burdens of your position feel lighter. But these small kindnesses do not erase the reality. Your place is to serve, observe, and remember. Some pages find escape in books, if they can read. The old steward's chamber holds a handful of illuminated manuscripts, heavy, bound in leather, and guarded as fiercely as the Lord's own armoury. On lucky evenings, you're allowed to sit beside a fire and listen as an older scribe reads aloud tales of Roman generals or saints who endured unspeakable trials. These stories feed the mind while your body heals from the day's chores. There are warnings too, spoken in hushed tones or muttered by older servants. They tell you of pages who failed to advance, boys who cracked under pressure or were sent home in disgrace. Sometimes they vanish without explanation. Sometimes you overhear things you were never meant to hear. You quickly learn when to speak, when to nod, and when to keep your head down.